Now, changing the status quo can definitely lead to a better outcome. This happened 2 decades ago in Berlin and in Prague, in Bucharest. In 1989, the great change in Eastern Europe, we can now say for certain, was definitely for the better. But change can also lead to worse outcomes. Worse for freedom, worse for human rights, worse for peace. In 1917, there was great change and great hope. But 3 months of the Kerensky government were followed by 70 years of Soviet darkness. In 1979, there was a genuine hope for democracy and progress in Iran. But a few months of the Bakhtiar government gave way to 30 years of militant Islamic darkness. And this is also happening in Lebanon today. You remember that a few years ago, 5 years ago, hundreds of thousands of Lebanese poured into the streets of Beirut. That was close to, some reports said, about 800,000 people. That's close to 1/5 of that country's population, equivalent to tens of millions of Egyptians. And the calls for freedom that they chanted there, spearheaded by the Cedar Revolution in Lebanon, were no less authentic than the calls for freedom that are now heard in Cairo. Those protesters also had the support of the free world. They seemed to herald a new day for Lebanon, a new dawn, a new beginning, new possibilities. This is what everybody in the democratic world and even beyond the democratic world dreamed for Lebanon, but this is not what Iran planned for Lebanon. And they worked very hard in these past 5 years to ensure that Lebanon has a different future. 5 years later, Hezbollah, a terror organization that respects no human rights, that crushes human rights into the dust, that brutalizes its own people, that spreads terror throughout the Middle East, that rockets Israel. 5 years later, after that great promise of the Cedar Revolution, 5 years later, Lebanon has been taken over de facto by Hezbollah, a proxy of Iran. And just today, Hezbollah's leader announced that he intends to conquer the Galilee. Well, I have news for you. He won't. The last thing anyone should have is any doubt about Israel's determination and ability to defend itself and defend its people.